Aloha guys, welcome back to my channel. So this video is obviously a lot different than the videos I usually post. I'm just going to talk about our move to Hawaii. If you didn't know, we moved to Hawaii, which is crazy. You can probably see that I'm sweating. I'm also sick. I'm on the back end of being sick, but I woke up without a voice this morning and it's been coming back throughout the day. I'm trying really hard to talk loud. I have a soft voice. The windows are open in the bedroom, so I'm sorry if you hear loud birds or cars driving by. I'll try my best to talk over it. But anyway, back to moving to Hawaii. So last summer, Matt and I were seriously talking about where we wanted to move after we were done in the Army, because we were stationed in El Paso. He was at Fort Bliss and he just got out and we could move wherever we wanted. We weren't going to be sent anywhere. So I kind of jokingly said, like, let's go to Hawaii, because Matt was stationed there first. That was his first duty station on Oahu while I was in college, and I had visited him twice. I really loved it here, and at the time when I was going into college, Matt was finishing basic training and going into AIT, and I was finishing my first semester of college as a freshman, and Matt found out that he was going to be sent to Hawaii for 3 years, and I made the decision to stay in Ohio and finish my undergrad degree, and it was a really hard decision. So that put us into long distance for 4 years while he finished that, and that was hard, but that's not what we're talking about. I'm just saying that he was living here and I chose to stay behind. So I think part of the reason why I had mentioned, oh, maybe we should go to Hawaii, is because I didn't get to experience it with him, and I've always wanted an experience like this where you're close to the beach, the weather is nice year round, and there's just so much to do here, outside, where there's so much to do. A lot of fun things, and emotionally the good weather makes me feel good and happy, and I just really needed that. So last summer I mentioned it to him. Initially he said no, and we probably made at least 5 pros and cons lists, which I highly suggest that you do if you're thinking about making a big move. Is see what the pros and cons are. Besides the things I mentioned, which were pros, I guess our biggest cons were costs and being away from family. So Matt and I both have family in Ohio. I have family in Michigan. He has family in Tennessee. So closer to the Midwest, eastern side of the states. And a lot of, at least my grandma doesn't fly, and it was just hard to think about being away for a year. At least we're doing a year right now. It's just hard to think about being away from your close family for that long. And I think what made it easier is that we were stationed in El Paso, and that's, obviously mountain time, so we're further west of the states, and we were far from our family then. So we were kind of used to feeling far away and not being close to them. So we just figured instead of moving back home and getting comfortable and maybe doing something like this later in our lives, it just didn't really feel right. And I don't know how else to explain it. This just felt right. We don't have any kids, and just seemed like the perfect time. We're young, and why not enjoy something like this right now when we can? So that's kind of why. And we really weren't sure how we were gonna do it. Initially, I was thinking it would just be me and Matt coming, and we would just rent a studio apartment or something really small and on the cheaper side, because rent is one of the more expensive things here that you pay for. And we were actually at my brother's wedding last November, and I had mentioned to my sister, she was like, do you guys know where you're gonna move yet? And I said, oh, we're thinking about going to Hawaii. And she said, I'll come with you. like, I'm serious, I'll come with you. I remember that so clearly, and I was like, you know, that could actually be a really good thing. So because we had my sister coming, we were able to get a larger space, and we're splitting the rent 3 ways. I think our rent now is still about 2.5 times more than what we were paying in El Paso, but it's still a lot cheaper than paying for something like this, just me and Matt. Like, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, really well done house that we're living in. But I'll get to all that. I just wanted to put all that out there first. So I want to talk about now of finding a place, not having a job, not being able to go in person to see anything, not knowing good locations and stuff like that. So I would say 6 months before we were planning on coming, we really started looking at apartments, condos, and houses that we could rent. And we were reaching out to people to see, first of all, pets were our first priority, because collectively we will be having 3 cats moving with us. So we would have to see if these places we were interested would even take cats, and if they would be okay with us not seeing the place in person and all that good stuff. So we did a lot of sending emails, getting rejected. We did have a really solid backup place. It was this huge apartment complex near, I think, Awa Beach, that area more on the west side. It was kind of like our fallback plan. They would take the cats, and it was a decent apartment in price, but it was just not the location we wanted, but it was like our fallback plan. But we kept looking, and basically out of some sort of luck, we found this place. And initially the landlord told us no, because we were moving in November and she wanted to rent it out sooner than that. And I think we were talking to her in August, so a month before she wanted to have it rented. So she's like, I want to have it rented before you come, I'm sorry. And I thought that was it, honestly, but she had reached back out to us because I guess a lot of interest she was getting in this place. The people had dogs, and this house is amazing, but there's really no yard. It's built on a hill. So she just said that you guys stuck in my mind because you have cats, and everyone else has dogs that I don't think are gonna fit well here. So we just worked with her. We started the leasing process, and we talked on the phone. She was so nice. She didn't care that we couldn't come see it in person. She sent us videos of the place so we could see it more in detail, and we were like, yeah, it's great, we want to go ahead and rent with you. And the issue of not having a job yet didn't really come up until the application process and like the leasing process. So we did fill out our previous employers and all that good stuff, but the way that we mainly got around this was that we paid for the down payment and 2 months of rent, and the down payment was like a whole month's rent. So essentially it was 3 months rent that we paid her up front, just to give us a grace period of finding jobs. I mean, we told her that like we're not worried about it, but she's like, that's okay, I'm cool with that. So we paid her a lot of money up front, and that was it. She was cool with it. So that's how we got around not having a job during that application process. In terms of the location, so with any property we were interested in, we would just map it to different things we know we would be needing, like the grocery store, the gym, different hikes and things we would like to do, seeing how far away it was, and we'd also map it to potential jobs so that we would know like what the commute could be. So And another thing that really helped is when we were talking to our landlord, she was just telling us about the neighborhood, about other places, and I just really trusted her and what she was saying, so that helped us a lot with making that decision. But that's kind of how you find like what location is going to work best for you, is just by like mapping it out to places that you're going to want to go to and seeing how far you're willing to drive. Someone had asked like, how did you know which island to move to? So the Hawaii Islands, there's quite a few of them. Don't ask me to name them all because I can't. But like the Big Island, Maui, Oahu, Kauai, I think there's another one like Lanai? I don't know, but basically we didn't even consider moving to a different island other than Oahu because this is just where Matt was stationed, where I visited, and I knew it was like more built up, there's more here, and I'm familiar with it, so that's kind of why we just wanted to come here. Not much to it. And I think I mentioned it earlier about like how long we'll be here. Right now we have signed this lease to live here for a year, and I think next year, maybe a few months before our lease ends, because we have to let the landlord know if we'll re-sign or not, we're just gonna sit down and talk about like how things are going, how we like it here, and if we want to do a second year. I don't think we'll be here longer than 2 years if we decide to re-sign the lease, just because 2 years from now puts me at being 25, and that's when I always thought about like starting a family and all that. And someone had said like, why don't you want kids in Hawaii? And it all goes back to those cons I mentioned in the beginning about like being far from family, and like family means so much to me, and I just don't want to start that chapter of our lives not being close to our family. Like it would be fun to have a kid here and all that, but like at the end of the day it is family, and you know, like our grandparents are going to be around forever, so it's just really important for me to move back stateside. So that's also like why we chose to do it now, timing wise. I would hate to like start a family and then move us, you know, away from our family. So that's all that good information. Someone had asked if you needed a visa to live here. I don't know much about visas, but I'm assuming that's when you're going to a country that you're not a resident in. So Hawaii is one of the 50 states of America, so since we are US citizens, we don't need passports or a visa to live here. Someone asked about natural disasters, and that's not something that crossed my mind either, because I don't really hear much about huge natural disasters happening here, like hurricanes, or there's no active volcanoes around us, so I feel safe. Okay, so now I'm gonna get into the actual logistics of moving your stuff. And so we basically had our apartment furniture, our cars, and I'm gonna put Milo, our cat, as a third category. I'm gonna start with our stuff. So because we were in the Army and we are getting out, the Army did help a lot with organizing the moving company, and I don't think the moving company is partial to working only with the Army. I think they do work with civilians too. But basically, they just came in to our apartment, they packed everything up themselves. I didn't have to pack or wrap anything up, and they labeled everything, they wrote down all of the items that were being moved, and they shipped it for us. Basically in the Army, they cover shipping your stuff, the distance it is to your home address, and Matt's home address was in Ohio, so they covered the mileage it would take to move the stuff to Ohio. But since we're going to Hawaii, it's a little bit further in mileage, so I think we covered the rest of that, but I don't remember the cost. I don't know if it was, I don't think it was that much. So that's how this stuff got here, and when we did move in, they delivered it to our house, they unpacked everything, They went through all the boxes. We had a checklist. They number the boxes, and Matt and I had the clipboard with all the boxes, and they would call out the numbers, and we had to check mark them off that they got here. I'm sweating. Oh my gosh. So they did that. They don't unpack it for you and put things away, but they will bring it inside for you. They did put our couch together and our bed frame together, and the table. I think they set up the table too. So we didn't have to like build anything. They took it apart and El Paso and they put it together here. So that was moving the stuff, super painless. They would just update Matt via email when our stuff did get here. I think 10 days before they actually delivered it, it was here, and the stuff had to go through a customs process. I don't know, but we shipped everything October 1st, and it was delivered November 8th. So a little over a month for the stuff to get here to be ready and be delivered. So I'm gonna talk about the cars. So Matt and I each had a car. I had my Subaru, Matt had a little Honda, and we made the decision to ship my car and sell his car. And I guess we could have shipped both cars, but logistically it was a little bit difficult. So we decided to ship my car. I got it, it was brand new, and it's just worth more to me than it would be to ship it. So all I did was Google like shipping cars to Hawaii, and Hawaii Car Transport came up. It was like Pasha, Hawaii or something like that. And we just picked the nearest California port for us to drive to, which was San Diego, 10 hours from El Paso. And it just worked out this way because we wanted to travel back to Ohio and see our family before we came here. So Matt and I drove my car to San Diego. We dropped it off October 21st, and we flew out of San Diego to go home and see our family. So that worked out really well because we just dumped the car there and we flew wherever we wanted. And so we dropped it off October 21st, and I was able to pick it up from the port here November 7th. So the day before our stuff came, I was able to pick it up. But it was super easy. They just needed like the car registration, and that was it. It did cost like $1,100 to ship it. So again, the car is worth so much more than that. And I guess I could have sold it and bought something here, but I just didn't want to go through that process. I love my car, so I'll probably ship it back to the States even when we're done here. So that's that. There was no damages. The car was fine, and they would email me updates and all that in terms of like shipment, estimated date of arrival, things like that. So the last thing is Milo, our cat. And this is because Hawaii is a rabies-free state, and I'm pretty sure they're tick and flea free too, I'm assuming. So basically, if you're planning on moving here, you have to go to the Hawaii's Department of Agriculture website, and they have everything, all the information there that you need to bring a pet into the state properly. And it's not hard. It is time sensitive. You have a certain timeline to follow, and you have to do things correctly, or else the cat or pet could be quarantined. And just to talk about the whole process, since it is a rabies-free state, Milo had to get 2 rabies shots that had to be at least 30 days apart from each other. We had to get a blood test done that was at least 30 days after his second rabies vaccine. The results from the blood test took about 3 or 4 weeks, and I think you have to have a positive blood result at least 30 days before you enter Hawaii. So that's where it becomes time sensitive, and the pet could be quarantined. If you came to Hawaii before that 30 days was up, then the cat or pet, I keep saying that, the pet would have to be quarantined until the 30 days was over. So if you came 15 days after, then the cat would have to would have to stay in quarantine for 15 days. So I hope that part makes sense. So as long as you don't procrastinate and you just take a calendar out and see when you need to have things done by, you'll be fine. 2 weeks before you do come to Hawaii, you have to get a health certificate for the pet. The health certificate is only good or valid for 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks of getting it, you have to go to Hawaii. And at least I think 2 weeks I think it's 2 weeks before, you have to get the tea and flea treatment done. So we had those done on the same day, and this is where it's complicated. There's just a lot of numbers, but at least 10 days before you go, the Department of Agriculture here has to receive your pet's documents, the rabies documents. So we sent the 2 rabies vaccines, and the lab sent over, like, all those documents have to get here more than 10 days before you get here. There's a lot of numbers, and I'm not explaining it super well, I don't think. So if you are planning on moving here, just go onto the website and print out the checklist. It's super straightforward, so just do that. If you do all of that, then the pet will come in super smoothly. The plane comes in and an agent will know that you have a pet. They'll be waiting for you outside of the airplane, and the agent will take the pet to the quarantine center here, which is a separate building, but you can walk to it from baggage claim. And you basically go with the health certificate and you say, I'm waiting for my pet. They take this certificate, they make sure all the documents were sent properly, everything was done properly, and once the cat gets there, they check them out. Once you get the green flag, you get to take your pet with you. So that was the direct airport release that we did. Went super smoothly. My sister did it for 2 cats and it went super smoothly, so no need to worry if you are on top of it. Okay, so someone had asked about like needing certain forms to have the cat on the plane. We did fly with Alaskan Airlines and they allowed you to have the pet in the cabin with you. You don't need any forms to do that, you just have to pay a fee to have the pet in the cabin. I know, like, I think American Airlines doesn't let you have the pet in the cabin. So just do your research on which airline you should fly if you're choosing to do this. Okay, I wanna speed this up. Okay, so the next huge question is about expenses. Sorry, there's a car. So we're talking about expenses, so rent, electricity, food, gas, household items, and someone was asking about what minimum wage is. So I touched on rent earlier, and it includes our utilities. So we only pay for Wi-Fi, and I think that's $53 a month, something like that. So we're just paying rent plus Wi-Fi, and everything is split up between 3 people. Gas here is more expensive than Texas. It has been $3.60-ish, more or less, since we've been here. So $3.60 is what it is. Household items, so we were lucky enough that our house was furnished. So this dresser behind me, the chair I'm sitting on, it all came with the house. A lot of other furniture is here that belongs to the landlord. We did bring our couch and kitchen table, and I swear guys, I don't know how we lucked out, but she was super flexible. She said whatever things you bring that you want to switch out with my stuff, she was happy to do that, and it worked out super well, so very happy. But I know that I think if you have access to base, the commissary or the PX, whatever, they have household furniture and things for a really good price. So if you can get on base, that would be the cheapest option. But there are like Lowe's and Home Depot, things like that here. Just probably more pricey, but we haven't needed to do that. Facebook Marketplace is also a really good thing to check out because people, I think, are always getting rid of stuff because they're moving or something. So that's what we did when we were moving out of Texas. Whatever we didn't want to bring, we just put it on Facebook Marketplace and it was gone within a day. Like it worked out really well, and everything else we just donated if we could. In terms of food, it is more expensive. So if you go to Whole Foods near you, add $1 or $2 to everything that you pick up off the shelf, and that's probably what it is here. There's Whole Foods, Foodland, which is very similar in price. And then there's just like little supermarkets all around the island. There is a Costco, and we did get a Costco membership last week. And then there's farmers markets too. We haven't been able to go to a farmers market yet, and I plan on it, so hopefully I can find some good local produce, because Costco is probably where I'm going to find a lot of my bulk dry goods, and hopefully at a better price. So we did budget for like $500 or $600 a month for food. So I do want to say really quick about like eating out and things. It is more expensive here to eat out. So like I had an acai bowl this morning that was like $10. So expect things to be at least $10 no matter what you're getting, at least $10. So for 2 people, we're always spending like $30 or something when we eat out. So it's really important to strategize with your food and what you have to do. So in our case in El Paso, like I could go to Sprouts and that would be it. Like I knew everything there was reasonably priced, is what I needed, I was good to go. But here I know I'm probably gonna have to do some hopping around between like Whole Foods and Costco, and maybe buying things via Amazon and Amazon Prime. So in like farmers markets too, I'm gonna have to see like what's available and what I need. So it's gonna take some strategizing and just experiencing what is here. And I tell everyone this who is concerned about costs in terms of food and eating healthy, because obviously I live somewhere that's more expensive, so it is what it is at sometimes, but where you are, you just have to be aware of like what your options are and how you have to strategize, like looking for sales or things that are on like, I don't know, special deals. Amazon, since Amazon owns Whole Foods, if you do have Amazon, you can go to the app and click the Whole Foods section, and it has a big long list of deals that are going on right now. I have to sign in, but it will usually have a big list. So again, strategize with wherever you live or wherever you're planning on moving to. That's my best advice. Costco has ginormous bags of frozen vegetables and frozen fruits and dry goods. Anyway, so I'll probably plan on buying those because they're cheaper, and I'll do my best of staying within budget. So with food, we always estimate that we're going to spend a lot more than I'm hoping to spend. That way, when at the end of the month what came in and what went out, hopefully more came in, or that we're going to keep more that came in than what we're spending. I hope that made sense. But it's better to underestimate what could be coming in and to overestimate what could be going out. Okay? So best case scenario, more can come in, less can come out, so you can save more. But that's food. And then minimum wage. So I feel like everywhere I go, I see signs on places that say hiring, help needed, and they'll advertise what the hourly rate would be, and I've seen between $10 and $15 an hour. I don't know what like standard minimum wage is here, but I think it just depends on the job, but I've seen between $10 and $15 an hour. Since Matt is obviously, he has advanced training and he did get a salary job, it's not minimum wage. I have advanced education, I won't be working a minimum wage job. Same with my sister, she's a dental hygienist, so again, salary, she doesn't work minimum wage. So we all personally don't know what it is standard. And I think someone did ask if all three of us are planning on working, and so far my husband and my sister are working. I'm still looking and trying to find something that I like and that fits with what I'm looking for. But Matt is going to be, I always forget, network operations engineer, and again my sister is a dental hygienist. So there's that, and I want to talk about the expense planning, I guess, and everyone's situation is different than what we've experienced. And basically before we knew what the job situation would be, we just estimated, like, within Matt's field, what's the lowest end that he would most likely be making. And from there, we estimated by Google searching what average costs were in Hawaii, like for food, gas, and entertainment, things like that. And we just did a quick, like, what's coming in, what could be going out, and what our savings goal is. So that's what we did before we knew what his job was. We're like, okay, this is what our goal is. And when he did get an offer, we were better able to figure out, like, okay, this is what's actually going to come in. And now that we're here, we're going to get a better idea of, like, okay, this is where we need to pay more attention to. Probably be food, eating out, and all the other things, now that we know exactly what rent and the Wi-Fi and other things are going to be like. So I would say just pay really close attention to what's coming in and what you think is going to go out every month, regardless of where you live. Like, that's really important to do. Also, like, what your savings goal is. So, like, you don't want to spend everything that you're making. That doesn't make good financial sense. I do also want to say that, again, everyone's different. Matt and I are very lucky that we don't have any debt or loans that we're trying to pay off. I don't have any college loans, and because Matt was in the Army, they are paying for his education. And sorry, people are outside. But now that he's out of the Army, he's doing the GI Bill, and we do get partial housing allowance. It doesn't cover everything, but it does help a little bit. So that's just like where we're at financially, and I know everyone's different. That's just like what our situation is. So if you do have other payments and things that you're responsible for, you have to account for that, like it's rent or something. So just putting that out there, be financially smart, and see if a move like this is, like, practical for you. Okay, this is also a question I got, was how to prepare to live somewhere more expensive, and that goes along with what I just said. But if you are anticipating a move, like we knew this time last year, so a year in advance, that we were going to make this move, we just started to be more smart about it, and I got a job, and it's figuring out, like, what our habits were and recognizing, like, what things would have to change, so that when we get here, it's not like a shock, like, oh my gosh, we have to pay more attention to things now. Like, you just have to start doing it before you even move somewhere more expensive. And then lastly, I want to touch on, people are asking, like, do you feel safe? Have you had to deal with any hostility? And honestly, no. Everyone's been super nice that we've interacted with, so I don't feel unsafe. Our landlord said that this neighborhood doesn't really have too much of, like, crime or anything like that, so I feel really safe here. I would tell you where we live, but I feel like that's not a good, safe thing for me to do on the internet, so there's that. But it is a very safe area, and in public or, like, in popular beaches, you just have to be aware of your surroundings no matter where you are. Be careful of, like, who's around you, if someone gives you a drink, like, just common sense safety things. But I haven't been worried. I have Matt with me everywhere I go, so I haven't really felt unsafe here yet. So there's that. I hope this video answered a lot of questions, and I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna go lay down and rest my voice. And we're leaving for our honeymoon tomorrow, so hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any other questions about anything, leave them below and I will answer them. So have a good day.